know him?
Yes.
I mean, he's like.
I know he's 10 years older than me.
Is he? I was gonna say, I think he's a lot older. He's got more grandkids, but I'm like, do you even come with any work? You come here with a pen. It's like, this is too easy for you to put some of this stuff. And if it doesn't bother you, like, if I could do this forever, yes.
All right. Welcome to the December 11th meeting of the Montgomery Township Board of Supervisors. We're going to call the meeting to order and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's always so nice to see such a packed house when we're swearing in a new officer. Before we get to that, I'm just going to have a quick moment of remembrance, if everyone would bear with us, for Officer David Hancock, who 47 years ago was killed here in the line of duty while protecting our citizens. Again, moment of remembrance and just an opportunity to thank all of the officers that are here that do protect us every day. Please know how much we value you and how much we love you. Okay. Few announcements before we get started. Our annual holiday giving events are wrapping up. Donations can still be made at the Township Administration Building or at the Community and Rec Center. We have the Lieutenant Patty Simons Food Drive. 28th Annual Law Enforcement Food Drive is still running through tomorrow, December 12th. Any non-perishable goods that you have, would be greatly appreciated. The Montgomery Township Toy Drive, accepting new toys for children of all ages through Friday, December 15th. Again, anything that you have, if you're at Target and you can just throw something else in your cart, there's so many people that would really appreciate it. Same with our Winter Coat Drive. The Montgomery County Winter Coat Drive is running until December 29th. New coats are accepted, and the largest need is for infant and children sizes up to 5T. Same thing. If you're out shopping, getting your gifts, and you can afford to throw an extra snowsuit or coat in your cart, there's just so many people locally that really would appreciate that. We thank you for your generous support. Public comment. Persons wishing to make public comment during this meeting on any items not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. Please come forward to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Is there any public comment? No? All right. Announcement of executive session.
Yes, thank you very much. The Board of Supervisors met in executive session earlier this evening at 6:30 p.m. to discuss one personnel matter. The topic discussed is a legitimate subject of an executive session pursuant to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Sunshine Law.
Thank you so much, Solicitor Kilkenny. Number 6 is our consent agenda. I'm going to move to approve the consent agenda as presented for the following: minutes of the November 27th, 2023 board meeting, ratification of the November 27th bills list, payment of bills for December 11th, 2023, and escrow release number 7 for Westrom Montgomeryville.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Now what we've all been waiting for. Introduction and swearing in of our newest police officer, J. Scott Bendig, Chief of Police.
Yes, good evening. On October 5th of this year, Officer Dobson resigned her position as an officer with the Montgomery Township Police Department to pursue a new career path. This resignation resulted in a vacancy within the department's patrol division. The recruiting hiring process was initiated in October of this year, with 32 applicants being interviewed for the position of recruit police officer. The police department hiring process consisted of a written examination, a physical agility test, 2 police oral review boards, and a background investigation, which includes a polygraph examination, neighborhood interviews, and employer interviews. Before the board this evening for consideration for appointment to the position of recruit police officer is the top candidate, Mickey Giordano. Mickey was born and raised in Richboro, Pennsylvania. Mickey grew up working for his father as a carpenter and graduated from Archbishop Wood High School. After high school, Mickey attended Westchester University, where he received a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Following college, Mickey joined the Temple University Police Academy and graduated in October of 2022. It is recommended that Mickey Giordano be sworn in as a recruit police officer with the department with an effective hire date of next Monday, December 18th, 2023.
All right. Okay. If I do the motion first and then we do the swearing in. Okay. I'm going to move to appoint Mickey Giordano as recruit police officer in the Montgomery Township Police Department effective December 18th, 2023.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Welcome. Kids.
I, Mickey Giordano, do solemnly swear that I will support and obey and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will enforce the laws of the Commonwealth and the ordinances of Montgomery Township, and that I will discharge the duties of police officer with fidelity. I do further swear that I will uphold, obey, and enforce the law without consideration to a person's race, color, sex, religious creed, sexual orientation, age, national origin, ancestry, handicap, or disability.
There you go. Congratulations.
The wall. The wall's better. The wall. Wall. Yeah, it's a better.
Oh.
It's a better picture.
We'll move the chair.
Chairs, watch computers. Right.
Welcome to our wall.
To the wall, right? Everyone's good right there. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All good.
That's you? Okay. The rest will move down this way.
We're not going to be upset if you guys all leave.
Totally okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna clear the room, Carl?
Get it back.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much and
Thank you.
congratulations. Welcome.
Be safe.
It was just so funny when he just started reading the whole thing. Okay, well, that's fine too.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do it that way.
Archbishop Wood knows how to read.
Taught him. I felt like saying, Archbishop Wood taught you how to read.
Right? Right?
We went for it. Took the initiative. That's what we want.
You know, it's more efficient. I like it. Right. I like it.
Harry, don't take this personal that everyone left. Um, so next up, conditional use application C82, Harry Hassan, the Village. I'm going to turn that over to Solicitor Kilkenny.
Sure. Can I have a motion to open the conditional use hearing, Madam?
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and mark some exhibits we have for this conditional use hearing. One will be the conditional use application dated, T1 will be a conditional use application dated October 13, 2023 for the company exhibits. T2 will be a proof of publication of the hearing in the reporter on November 20th, 2023 and November 7th, 2023. 3 will be proof of mailings of notice of the hearing to nearby properties sent to the 34 properties. 4 will be a copy of the actual ordinance, Montgomery Township Ordinance 23-33-6Z, enacted by the Board of Supervisors on September 11, 2023, providing for this new use of a mixed-use complex by conditional use. Conditional use hearing is a set of criteria set forward by that the applicant has to meet in a permitted use district. This is a quasi judicial hearing, meaning the Board of Supervisors is sitting like a zoning hearing board. So I wanted to ask, is anybody requesting what's called party status? Party status does not mean that you can't comment at the end of this conditional use presentation after the Board of Supervisors asks questions and the public has an opportunity to comment. But do you want to go ahead and call your own witnesses first? Do you want to cross-examine witnesses that Mr. Weiner may put on this evening? Just wanted to see if anybody is requesting party status. Okay, seeing none, I kind of note that for the record. Mr. Weiner, do you have any witnesses you want to swear in?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go. Andrew Randazzo.
All right.
Sir, you solemnly swear the testimony about this is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so beyond.
Yes.
State your name is called this for the board.
Andrew Randazzo, ANDREWRANDAZZO.
So if it's okay with Mr. Weiner, I will turn it over to him to start his presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kilkenny. Carl Wiener, obviously representing Harry Hassan, the owner of the Village Square Shopping Center. The applicant has previously requested a zoning text amendment to permit a mixed use of the shopping center, to allow the shopping center to be revitalized and reused in the face of headwinds over retail use and office use, for which the center was built nearly 40 years ago. Board of Supervisors did approve that zoning amendment, as Mr. Kilkenny referenced a few moments ago, and mixed use was permitted, but as a conditional use. So we're here tonight for the conditional use hearing under the zoning ordinance amendment that has been approved by the board. Our proposal specifically, as you will hear through the testimony, is to renovate the existing main retail building on the site with 16 apartments on the second floor. The barn office building will remain an office on the first floor, but we'll have 6 apartments on the second floor. There will be no change in the restaurant building on the site. And there will be a 4th building that will be built, which will be a medical office on the first floor with 3 apartments on the second floor. That will be built over existing parking lot, so there will be no impervious coverage added to the property by virtue of building that building. The total parking required through this renovation would be 282 parking spaces. 262 parking spaces, and we have provided 282 parking spaces, even with that additional medical office building that's being built, which will take some parking space. We are still overparked on that site and more than comply with parking requirements. And finally, I will mention the testimony will bear out that we know that the Montgomery County Planning Commission commented on some pedestrian connectivity, and we intend to provide that, which will be shown through the land development process. And again, this is really the first stage. This does not substitute the land development process in any way, but is the first part to permit the use itself.
And one thing I did want to bring up, I know my colleague, Mr. Walco, emailed Ms. Pianzio this afternoon about a concern our authority had related to some capacity. So if you can perhaps address that, or even if we can agree to that, some kind of, I know it's normally handled in land development, but maybe it might be of some interest to the board, even just to add that as a condition that you have the approval of our authority / GEP.
I honestly am not aware of that email.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yes.
So I can, if you can tell me what it is, I'll be
Yeah. So this afternoon, Mr. Walk, after Ms. McCreary, Mr. Walk and I were discussing his application, we emailed Ms. Pianzio concerns that the sewer authority had with capacity issues with the site. Obviously, you're going to have to address those in land development to go ahead with that. But to kind of relieve any concerns that the board may have and that the township is privy to, we just ask you to agree to that as part of one of your conditions.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Just wanted to handle that up front.
We have reason to believe the residential will probably use less capacity than in office, but that'll be worked out through the land development process.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. With that, I'd like to call Andrew Randazzo as a witness. You've already been sworn. Actually, before we start, we have our exhibits on the screen, but to make life easier, we have a paper version.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Mr. Wiener has handed us a series of exhibits with 5 tabs. So we'll mark this as A1 through 5, applicant 1 through 5.
Thank you. Andrew, will you please state your name and address for the record?
Andrew Randazzo, 521 Stump Road, North Wales.
Yeah. And what is your occupation?
Architect.
How many years have you been in the field?
I've been a registered architect for 10 years. Been in the field since 1995.
And briefly, can you tell us your educational background?
So I have a Bachelor of Architecture from Temple University. I'm a licensed architect in PA, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Ohio.
And you had prior experience in designing retail, commercial, and office buildings.
Yes. So a few just locally for Chairman Tanucci, his complex. I did his showroom building, working on the other two pad sites that are there. Worked on PDM Constructors, which is on Stump Road. I've done work for Harry on multiple different projects, and also on Stump Road, TRG, done projects with them.
Okay. And have you ever qualified as an expert witness?
Yes.
And I'm showing you A1. It's on my screen here and on the screen up here. And is this your curriculum vitae?
Yes.
And is it a true and correct representation of your experience as an architect?
Yes.
Okay. Members of the board, I move to qualify Mr. Randazzo as an expert in architecture.
Does the board wish to ask him any questions on his background or anything like that? No? So,
I have a quick question.
Oh.
Do you do residential and commercial?
I do.
Okay, just curious.
so he's qualified as an expert.
Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Randazzo, are you familiar with the property that is subject to this hearing?
Yes.
And referring to Exhibit A2, screen on my screen, can you please describe the existing property?
So that drawing is a existing feature site plan prepared by Tim Woodrow. It shows the complex, about 6 acres, just over the 3 existing buildings and the existing parking lot. So the center, at the lower center is the existing restaurant building, which is about 30 or 6,200 square feet. Then we have to the right, the barn building, which is currently an office building, retail office on the first floor, second and third office. And that's about 3,800 square feet. And then we have a big building in the back, which is the existing retail on the first floor, office on the second floor. And currently, the restaurant is 100% occupied. The barn building, which is the office building and retail on the first floor and office on the second floor, is currently 3 out of the 4 tenant spaces are occupied. So there's 1 empty tenant on the first floor, and it's currently all office use. The retail building in the background, I believe 100% of the first floor is occupied with retail. The second floor, there is 1 tenant in the office space. So pretty much occupied.
And this property is located in the shopping center district, correct?
Correct.
So referring to Exhibit A3, can you explain to the board what renovations are proposed for
That drawing is a sketch site plan that I prepared. It shows the same 3 buildings that Tim Woodrow's existing features drawing shows. In addition, there's a 4th building on the left side, which is the proposed medical office, first floor, and 3 apartments, second floor. So in the scheme of the proposal is that new building, and then in the back building, the larger retail building, we're proposing removing the office use on the second floor and converting it to 16 apartments, 14 2-bedrooms, 2 1-bedrooms. Then the barn building, which is on the bottom right on the screen, is the first floor will remain office retail. The second floor, which is currently office, will be converted to 6 1-bedroom apartments.
And the restaurant building will not be changed at all, is that correct?
Correct. The restaurant will remain.
Showing this, which is Exhibit A4A, and what does that show?
That shows the entrance to the center, the rear larger building. It currently exists that way, but that would serve as the primary entrance to the second floor, which is where the new apartments would be located.
Showing another exhibit, which is A4B, and what does that show?
So that's going from that previous view. This is then going in those doors into the lobby, which currently exists again as the entrance to the second floor. We would add, some plans, but the general layout exists like that.
And again, going back to the plan, the applicant is proposing to build a new building on this site. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. What can you please describe that building that is proposed?
So the new proposed medical office building will be in the existing parking lot to the left of the restaurant. So it'll go over top of the existing parking spaces. We are showing a little bit of green because to keep the building within the setbacks, it's not up to the edge of the parking. We are reducing the impervious coverage. The first floor would be 3,600 square feet of medical office, and then 3 apartments on the second floor, 3 two-bedroom apartments.
Showing you what is Exhibit A45A. I'm sorry, Exhibit A5A. What does that?
That's the view from Stump Road, looking at the new medical office building. It'll have similar covered entrances as the main building on site.
And are these representative of the materials that you intend to use with respect to the new building?
Yes, it would be a combination of stone and siding similar to the other buildings on the property.
Second photo, and what does that show?
So this is continuing into the site now, kind of that new building, the backside kind of facing the orchards. So it's set up that there would be a covered entrance in the front and potentially a covered entrance towards the rear. The initial tenant that we've been dealing with is going to occupy 100% of the first floor, so that the rear entrance would just be a service entrance for that medical office. It would still have the same covering, but potentially if 2 tenants were in that space, it would be divided front to back. So it would be equal covered entrances for a front entrance and a rear entrance.
And as I mentioned in my opening, this property is proposed to come under the mixed-use complex provided in the S district pursuant to the zoning ordinance that was amended in ordinance 23-3362, correct? Each of these uses, the apartment uses and the remaining office and retail uses, are all permitted uses, correct? And have you calculated the parking required for each of the buildings and uses in the buildings?
Yes. So the zoning requirement is 4.4 spaces per 1,000 square feet. The residential requirement is 1.5 spaces per apartment. So the large building in the back, called Building 1, would require 97 parking spaces for the retail, 24 parking spaces for the residential. Building 2, which is the barn building, currently would require, or with the proposal, would require 17 commercial spaces, 9 residential spaces. Building 3 is a restaurant, no change, 94 spaces required. Building 4, with the new proposed building, 16 commercial spaces, 5 residential spaces, which would total 262 spaces. The site will allow, with the new building, 282 spaces. And that will we also have spaces designated for dumpsters, so we're not losing spaces for the 5 dumpsters he has around the site.
And will the site as renovated comply with applicable setbacks, impervious coverage, building coverage, buffering requirements?
Yes, and impervious coverage would be less because we're actually taking parking lot and making green space behind that building, new building.
And will the proposed reuse of the site create any traffic hazards or congestion?
No, we're anticipating less traffic. The use of office has more occupants than residential use has less occupants, and the timing would be different. The office use, the timing's all on top of each other. When it's residential and office, it's staggered, so we're anticipating less.
And is proposed reuse of the property suitable for the character of the area?
Yes, the existing orchards behind is residential in that area, mixed with the existing retail. So we see adding residential to that, having the orchards pretty much.
And will the proposed use adversely impact public facilities such as water, sewer, schools, or parks?
No. So we anticipate that, well, ultimately the sewer is handled by Harry Hessen's private sewer, and he's going through the process of checking capacity, is working on that. The sorry. I guess the advantage to having that is we're adding housing at an affordable rate. We're revitalizing an existing building that's underutilized at the moment.
Okay. And do you expect any or any significant number of school-age children in that development?
No, Harry's realtor had researched a similar project, and the outcome of that research was that there's very few school-age children that would be in that type of apartment situation.
The Montgomery County Planning Commission, in its review letter, suggested some additional pedestrian connections from Stump Road to the center and from the center to the adjoining park. And will those be provided on the plan?
Yes.
And will additional sidewalk along Stump Road be added as well?
So the sidewalk that exists now just doesn't connect into the site, so we're anticipating connecting a fully accessible route from the sidewalk onto the property.
Will the proposed use create any undue intensity of use on the site?
Now, again, less occupants, so we think it's less intense.
Okay. And generally, will the proposed reuse of the site create any adverse impact on the public health, safety, and welfare?
No, similar reasons that I mentioned before. It's revitalizing underutilized building, adding housing, and just a less intrusive project.
Yeah. No further questions.
Does the board have any questions of this witness?
You mentioned that it was the apartments that are going in are intended to be affordable. Can you provide some further detail around the affordability or what your cost per square foot would be or proposed price per square foot would be for those units?
The initial number that was thrown out for the 2-bedroom was $1,950 per month, and 1-bedroom $1,750.
Can you say that again for the one?
2-bedroom $1,950, 1-bedroom $1,750. The apartments are around 1,050 square feet for the 2-bedroom. 1-bedroom, I think, is 600 to 800.
Did you say 600, Kate?
Yeah, varies based on the layout of each different.
I thought when you were here or the previous meeting where we reviewed the ordinance change, that the single bedroom apartment was quoted at something closer to 1,500. Why has that changed?
The number I was recently given was that. I don't know what the.
I don't think it's ever changed.
No, sir, you can't speak from the audience. You have to call up and be, yes, testify.
I could be misremembering. I'm just curious because I'm excited to have some more affordable housing options in our community, and I think there's a real demand for it and a need for it in our community, and the least of which among our own first responders who have a hard time living within our own community. So the more that we can support these more affordable housing options, I think that it's a benefit to our entire community. So I'm wondering what reassurance we would have from you that you would continue to offer these at an affordable rate.
And are these really affordable rates?
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, well, on a cost per square foot basis, trying to make an apples to apples comparison.
I don't think we can decide that though.
No, absolutely not.
No,
But
it's a
it's
comment.
a comment.
It's a comment.
Based on what the bank has determined is the appropriate amount to cover the construction cost of the mortgage. is
And I'm sure like everything else, materials have risen in costs and all that kind of thing, which is understandable.
addressed within the last 6 weeks, these numbers. So that's, the bank has gone through and analyzed all the proposals we had for construction costs and determined, what it takes to do the project, what the pay or the rent would be to make the project happen.
I have a question about the evaluation of school age children. You said there was that they looked at some other, was that within the North Penn School District or was it somewhere
This
else?
was Harry Hassan's realtor said there was a project in Willow Grove that they had dealt with a similar project, and it indicated that there was very few school age children. I don't know the specific projects.
But there will be no limits on that.
There's no limitation. It was just experience from another project what we were anticipating.
Right. And I'm trying to do the numbers again. How many 2-bedroom overall? I have 14.
2-bedroom. There should be 8. No, 14 2-bedroom plus 3, 17 2-bedroom, and 8.
Okay, so 17 2-bedroom and 8 1-bedroom overall. Okay. That was smaller.
Just to further clarify, I know from discussion that I had prior to in preparation for this with Mr. Hassan, some of the thinking is that 2 bedrooms are not going to be necessarily occupied by families. They're going to be occupied by a young couple who, have a bedroom and then a second room that they would use for the office, given the prevalence of remote work in today's
Right,
climate.
right.
So that's part of the demand for 2 bedrooms.
Right. My other question is about traffic. I know you say that the traffic, what kind of traffic study was done? Because I don't know if you know, there's also additional housing that's going to be added on Long Stump Road as well as further up Stump Road. There are 2 other residential properties being
So
built.
Gilmore and Associates did mention traffic in their review letter. It's something we will look at as part of the land review process and have a discussion with them to what extent they're looking for a traffic study. Intuitively, residential of this kind, which is not even single family residential, it's a smaller apartment unit, would generate less traffic than an office. And the complementary, as Mr. Randazzo testified a few moments ago, the complementary use between office and residential, which have different timing, will probably alleviate traffic from this property. It's somewhat hard to judge from existing conditions because so much of the property is vacant, which is what we're trying to get past.
Right.
But it's in general, it really is a complementary use, and I'm sure that was raised during the redevelopment. During the rezoning process. But
Right.
that is part of it. But we will have those discussions with Gilmore.
Okay. And my last question also is about adjacent properties in the orchards. I think there are community members that are concerned about traffic, the congestion, et cetera, but also just in terms of, it looks as if there were 28 adjacent properties. I'm not sure if I was counting that right or correctly or not, but were just these properties contacted about the redevelopment, or were other properties also contacted within in terms of just letting them know that
I believe Ms. McConnell might be able to.
Oh,
The property itself was posted as part of notification. Abutting property owners and across the street were notified by letter, and then the application was advertised in the paper for the public hearing.
and that's what's required. by
That's
law.
what's required.
Okay.
Mhm.
I know that there were some people that were concerned or surprised that, they were informed by their neighbors, but they hadn't gotten it, but they lived in the orchards and they were also concerned. So I just wanted to make sure that those adjacent, and by law, we have done what we needed to, but, and then obviously then community conversations can happen within the developments as well. Yes. Okay.
Okay, that's my questions.
Anybody else?
Do you have any other witnesses?
I don't have any other witnesses this time. I think we responded to the questions regarding the rent rate and the basis for that. I'd like to move for the admission of the exhibits A1 through A5 that I submitted.
Sure, and then we have to have some public comment, obviously. Yes.
Okay, am I moving for public comment?
Yeah, see if there's any.
Is there any public comment? Please come up and give your name and address.
Yep,
Yes.
that's perfect.
Kurt Liska, 210 Orchard Drive. I work on a lot of construction sites and everything. And how late are they going to be working if they decide that this goes through? Because during summer and stuff, these guys that do all this building and everything, like I did the one down the street. I'm a crane operator. So I did a lot over there. And these guys work till 9 o'clock at night. That's going to be a big issue there.
What is our?
If he's going to speak, he has to come up and.
Why don't we have Mr. Hassens?
Why don't we have him swear him in? Okay.
To answer the question for the construction work, our quiet time is 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. We have asked during pre-construction meetings that they be aware of the residential surrounding neighbors and have some courtesy there. But our code is 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. quiet time.
Swear him in.
Sir, you solemnly swear to testify about this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, statement, sir, please. And Harry E. Hassan. Thanks, sir.
In terms of construction, first thing is almost all of the construction will be inside the building, be virtually nothing outside. And the construction will take place during the hours that you set. So the only thing that we'll have outside at all would be dumpsters for when we do demolition and new construction. So there really won't be any outdoor construction per se, or very minimal at that.
So could there actually be construction going on even if it's inside at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night? Even if it's inside, there's a lot of noise that those neighbors would hear. I would not like to see that.
Would you agree to any kind of limitation on that? I think that's what the chair is asking.
I'll agree to the limitation that the township has.
I think they're requesting above and beyond.
You said 11 p.m. was current, maybe you said 11 p.m. was the current?
Our current quiet time is 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.
So you were asking, I believe the chair was asking something more like 9 or something like that, or 8 o'clock or something.
Well, that'll be something of a problem because we have to do plumbing in the ceiling of the first floor when the stores are closed. So for example, that would be something of a problem. But again, if you're talking about taking down suspended ceiling, doing some pipe work, which is not like framing or doing outside work. So I don't personally see that as a detriment. That's why I would go with the hours that township has.
I think that's a little tough. I mean, anybody that lives there, I don't know. I think having construction noise available till 11 o'clock is crazy. We should relook at our quiet code plans there.
No, I asked him to, he won't. So you won't limit the construction hours to say 9 p.m. as a condition?
Private, it'll be difficult because some of the stores are open late. We have to get in when they're closed.
It has to be done.
I believe the manager had a proposed solution. I'll let her. Yes.
That the work that you're identifying that would have to be done when the stores are closed on the first floor would be permitted, but all other work that doesn't directly impact those businesses should be done and completed each day by 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Again, our primary problem is, which doesn't affect what you just said, is again, primarily doing plumbing under the floor. And we don't want to make businesses close down so we can do that.
We understand that. I think the board is just saying that as a rule, they would rather, and we'll have to look at our code itself, but, you know, if at all possible, limit any late work solely to that which could negatively impact those businesses, because we don't want to see them have to close. Okay.
We appreciate that.
What is a normal workday, just to be clear?
It's like 7 to 4:35.
Okay. The reason why we ask is when we, after the board closes this hearing, if they choose to close it tonight and take action, we have 45 days to issue a written decision. And in that, we'd probably place conditions, one of which we just referenced right here. So that's why Mr. Weiner was asking for clarification for that, so we know exactly what to write as a condition.
Say 7 o'clock or safe.
Sure.
Okay, so we got it. Okay.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
The noise is gonna go with the new building if they build that. You said there's only gonna be indoor noise.
The new building would be the same as building a house. It would be during normal business hours.
Okay.
Will that also end at 4:30?
Excuse me?
Will that also end at 4:30?
No, I don't know that.
Well, I think we agreed to 7 p.m. I think that's what we,
7 seems fair to me.
Yes.
It's much better than 11.
That's kind of tough to work outside at 11 anyway.
Appreciate that. Okay. Great. Is there any other public comment? Come on up. Give us your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Amy Miller. I live at 114 Henning Drive in the Orchards. I'm just a little confused and maybe I just couldn't hear it. It sounds like you're saying you'll have enough parking spaces for all of the new folks, so 27 units and another 10, plus however many you would need for that medical building. But that medical building is going to take up what looks like on your plan a significant portion of the parking on this side. When I come over to the to pizza and to the restaurant, and some nights those parking spaces are pretty tight. So the math isn't making sense to me.
Well, I think Mr. Randazzo went through the calculation for each and every building, the apartments and the office. We actually, even with the new building being built, we have 282 parking spaces on that site, which is 20 more than that is actually required under the ordinance. So we exceed the ordinance by about 10% or so.
Okay. It doesn't look like it to me, but I mean, I'm not.
Well, the office
an
use
architect.
uses a lot more parking than with 16 apartments.
True, but you don't have anybody in the office. I mean, your company is there, but
That's why we're trying to put the
right.
apartments, which will give you less parking.
But you don't have people in the offices parking here now. That's what's not making sense to me.
Well, we have an awful lot of vacant spaces.
Until that goes in.
But
Right.
We still will have 20 more than will require that.
And I would also ask you to just reconsider that use. I don't have the right verbiage when you said, I guess it's, the people that are living here will be coming in and going out at different times than the people that would come in to use the restaurant and the shops and whatnot. But I don't know that that's true, right? If people are living here and they're parking and they're, and maybe they're working from home and they're staying parked and people are trying to come in and use the restaurants and whatnot. I'm just not sure that it makes a lot of sense with the amount of space that's going to be left. If that makes sense.
It is a parking formula that we use throughout the township. So unless Mary Ann has anything different, it does work. And
There's also parking in the rear of the property
Yeah,
that
I'm just
typically
looking
people
at-
who are going to the restaurant or to any of the businesses that are currently there would not be using right now, but the residents could use it going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an entrance to the rear of the bigger building? So that's where the residents would probably sit of the bigger building would park in the
There's
rear.
parking, there's also an access to the orchard from the rear.
Right.
You can see it
Yeah.
there on the.
Yeah, I see the little.
Will any spots be designated for the apartments or?
Our hope is to designate the spots behind the retail office building for the apartments. So they would be opposite where people using the retail spaces. We have way more than 24 spots there.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment?
I have a follow-up question to my previous one related to pricing. So when you were here before us previously, it was represented to us that the price point in comparison to the Western Development Luxor apartments that were going in, it was going to be more competitively priced, more affordably priced, even though this doesn't qualify as affordable housing. And as I looking at the pricing for those apartments which have been published, like a studio 1-bedroom apartment is at 1,700, and I know without knowing the specific, can't recall the specific number that was quoted at the time, had said that yours would be more affordably priced than that. And now in this presentation, we're hearing that you're going to, or you're planning based on the bank's recommendations or requirements. Is it recommendation or requirement from the bank?
Both.
Both. 1,750 for a 1-bedroom apartment. So I would ask that if that is actually the recommendation from the bank, that you would commit to holding that number where it is.
I don't think we can ask him that. We can't ask him that.
Can't require. I mean, if it
We
costs-
That would, they can ask, that's not an enforceable condition. It was asked and the applicant said he doesn't intend to agree to that condition.
Right. This project can't happen without financing, and the bank
Yeah.
looks at the parameters
Okay.
of what is being borrowed for construction costs, what the interest coverage is, what the income needs to be generated from this property in order to cover the cost of paying back the bank. That's how they back into those numbers. So there's not really any flexibility in that. The bank tells you what they expect to see from that property.
Yes, I appreciate that. And I was under the impression, based on the testimony, that had already been stipulated by the bank. And so I was hoping that I could get some agreement that you would hold that until it was constructed and at least go to market initially with that as the set rate, that it wouldn't increase further.
Well, as you know, we probably end up, because of cost increase, spending a lot more money than we're actually getting permission to use from the bank. So if somebody can give me a guarantee that prices won't go up between now and the time we write them, then I'll give them a guarantee on what we charge for rent.
Well, even if there were a certain portion that we could guarantee that would be offered.
I just would be unwilling to do that. I'm not going to stick my neck out.
We can't. Yeah.
He won't agree to this. He won't agree to this condition, and it was stated as why.
Unfortunately, we just don't have a crystal ball to be able to.
He's refusing, but that is done in other areas.
He's the owner of the property. It's his right to charge whatever rent he can, and rents are prevailing.
And other
And-
municipalities have negotiated these types of conditions. So I'm asking a question, and allowing him to answer.
Well, I think he's saying no, and I think we should be grateful that he is revitalizing a shopping center that sorely needs it.
I am absolutely grateful for that. And I'd also like to represent my community and give people an opportunity to get into one of these at an affordable rate.
Any other questions from the board for this witness?
Nothing more.
Okay, nothing further to say?
Yes.
Any other further public comment? Oh, okay. We're good, but I asked. Exactly.
So I didn't come here just to listen to this. Cheryl Davis, 224 Red Haven Drive. My question is, what plans are in place to revitalize the shopping center that is half empty and is just a fragment of what it was when that development and shopping center was built. So I can appreciate, putting apartments in because the offices aren't working out and the building and yada, yada. And I totally agree that the math doesn't work for me. When you have that place full and those people in those apartments are having company over, the parking is just going to fill up and fill up and fill up. And then the people from the 400 plus houses that are there, they're going to be coming in and out of the shopping center to get to Stump Road because it's unsafe to pull out at the bottom of Orchard onto Stump Road. And all I'm saying is I just wish there were plans in place to revitalize the shopping center so that the 400 plus houses of people can go there for things that they might need as opposed to going to Wawa, Giant, what have you. Am I making sense, Mr. Hassan?
Not really.
Well, let's see if
Or
this is an
anyone-
opportunity for you to comment.
Yeah, I mean,
If
I'm
he
just,
if he chooses to comment, he can. If he does not,
and
it's not
yeah, and I
subject to
apologize.
this.
I didn't mean to,
No,
But
that's
my
fine.
concern is that I've lived there since 1995 and I
Sure.
saw the shopping center go down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe it makes sense to put apartments in the whole darn thing and move those viable businesses, those 2 or 3 viable businesses into a new building in the same parking lot. Anyway, we're all concerned, as you can see. No one's here to talk about this, and I don't know if it's a done deal. However, I just wanted to put it out there so that when this thing gets crazy, somebody said something.
Thank you.
If there's nothing further, perhaps we can close the conditional use hearing.
I'll move to close the conditional use hearing.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I'm just going to state my own thoughts. I would move to grant conditional use for this complex with the condition of the quiet hours after 7 p.m.
And them complying with any kind of conditions related to land development that the authority imposes as far as sewer as well as DEP. Yeah.
Connectivity as well as the fire department letter, all of
Yes.
those conditions.
All of that. Yes.
Right. The applicant agrees to that.
Okay, I would just like to hear from my fellow board members as well.
I'm on board with this. I think it's a
Okay.
great idea.
I feel as if I'm hesitant only because we don't have some answers about the sewer capacity and
But those are conditions.
that would be
though,
land
so they're-
development.
they're-
That's all land
They're gonna be
development.
looked at, yeah.
That will be all looked at and
That would be a condition
Later.
of the approval. They have to meet all those requirements.
And they'll
And they
still come
agree to that.
before you for
For land development,
approval.
we double protected us.
yeah, they'll be back again.
no, I know they'll be back. I just feel as if we're plowing ahead without answers, but
But this is just the conditional use.
I know that, Audrey.
Okay, just making sure.
I am excited about this as a revitalization of a distressed property with a lot of empty commercial space. I love the idea of developing this space as mixed use with residential component to it. My concern is that I feel as if it was a little deceptive to come before this board previously, presented as a more affordable housing option, rental option for people who'd like to move into the community and then not be priced really competitively or even be willing to enter into a conversation about being priced more competitively than the units that are going in right around the corner. So I'm a little disappointed in that, but overall, I think this is a worthwhile project that I would support.
I would approve this project as well. I really enjoy seeing Mr. Randazzo's work with the drawings. The mixed use, I think, makes sense for where we're going here, as well as potentially other parts of the township would make sense. I think this is a good project.
Okay, then I'm gonna make the motion to grant conditional use for a mixed-use complex to be constructed on the property at 511-521 Stump Road, along with the following conditions, which are the 7 PM quiet hours and everything else that we already talked about and agreed, placed on approval if required.
Second.
Is there any public comment further? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion,
Reluctantly.
motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
It was 5 hours. Yeah. Yeah. A little disjointed, but yeah.
All right, well, number 10, Public Works, review and award of bid for traffic signal.
Number 9.
Number 9.
9. Oh, sorry, missed it.
Zoning hearing.
Review of zoning hearing board applications. So sorry. Marianne McConnell.
So
zoning
included in
officer.
your packet is a summary of an application submitted for the zoning hearing board at their January 3rd, 2024 hearing. It is for the current and existing Taco Bell that are currently going through land development, proposing a second drive-through lane at their location. With this, they do require menu boards and drive-through signage for their project, where a special exception would be required. And that is the application that they have submitted for those 2 menu boards.
Seems like everyone wants a 2-lane drive-through now. I feel comfortable that our zoning hearing board can take care of that. Does everyone agree?
Yes, agreed.
Okay. All right, going back to Public Works now, number 10, review and award bid for traffic signal at 5 Points Plaza, Cowpath Road. Greg Reef?
All right, good evening. The township received an open bid utilizing Penn Bid on December 5th of 2023 at the township building. Gilmore and Associates, the engineer, reviewed the 2 bids ranging from $269,401.70 to $279,054.75, and is recommending to award the bid to Lanai Electric Corporation, the lowest responsible bidder, with a bid of $269,401.70. The recommendation letter and bid tabulation sheets are included in your packet. The board authorized the advertisement of the bid at its public meeting on May 8th, 2023. A total of $264,000 was included in the 2023 capital investment plan for the traffic signal modernization at Cowpath Road and 5 Points Plaza. So it's our recommendation to award the bid as recommended to Lanai Electric.
I know this is a crazy question. Do we have any idea when this work would get done?
It's definitely going to be in 2024. We've been seeing the poles, I'm going to say they're probably anywhere from probably 4 to 6 months, depending on the poles and the availability of the equipment. Most of the equipment's going to be available. The weight has been on the poles.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? I'm going to move to award the contract for the traffic signal modernization at Cowpath Road and 5 Points Plaza to Lanai Electric Corporation, the lowest responsible bidder, in the amount of $269,401.70 per the recommendation of Gilmore and Associates Township Engineer.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 11, we're moving into administration and finance. Adoption of resolution of 2023-18, setting the volunteer firefighter stipend for 2023, or should that be 2024?
No, 2023, because you're paying for their activity
okay.
for this year.
Okay. Brian Shapiro, Director of Finance.
Thank you. Good evening. The township approved the first responder recruitment and retention stipend on April 13, 2020 to incentivize volunteer first responders for their service. Before adopting this resolution in 2023 for volunteer service in 2023, the township must acknowledge the fire companies or EMS squad's written criteria for determining qualified active member status. Per the FDMT bylaws, active status is determined as follows. This is from their bylaws that they readopted in August of this past year. It is our recommendation that you adopt this criteria for qualified active member status and set the volunteer fire stipend for 2023 by adopting the attached resolution.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about this?
I just have a quick question. What is the fund source for the stipend? It's out of the general fund. Wouldn't this qualify for ARPA funds? It would not. It's not. Okay. And have we revisited the rate for the stipend?
It's been $500 since we initially, that's what most municipalities have done. Our recommendation is to keep it under the 1099,
The 600.
the $600, but it's been that consistent of $500.
Yeah, I mean, I was here when we
Initially, the plan was to give people the opportunity to have a tax credit either through earned income tax or property taxes. And what we found was some of our younger volunteer firefighters who were living with their parents still would not be able to take advantage of the property tax. And then those volunteer firefighters who are retired, who are not paying an earned income tax, would not be able to take advantage of that credit. So the board at that time instructed staff to sort of see if there was another option, and we eliminated the tax credit and just came up with a set dollar amount, which we pay to the fire company, and then they distribute it to each of the members so that we're not in any kind of issue with the Emmaus decision concerning volunteer firefighters and municipal oversight.
Thank you. And so the stipend is 500. That's what when we went to the flat stipend fee, that's what it was established at. How many years have we had that in place now?
So since 2020.
Since 2020,
Yes.
without an increase.
Correct.
Okay.
Prior to us redoing that, Chief Wegman can interject with that, but I believe some people were only getting $75, $40. They were submitting personal information, so this was a good increase for the stipend.
Yes, I recall that at the time. And Chief, you believe that this is sufficient?
Yes, I mean, we're one of the leading municipalities with stipend reimbursement throughout the Commonwealth. I'm trying to get the school district to do a reimbursement as well for all volunteers in the North Penn region. The Chamonix has enacted it, and Lower Marion School District has enacted it. And then Bucks County just enacted a tax rebate for county residents who are volunteers.
Great.
Yeah, it's the school district and the county have not been as receptive as the board here, so thank you. But I think when we constantly are working with and telling municipalities about our program here, they're very impressed. So thank you.
Keep trying. Maybe one of these days they'll say yes.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm. And do you find this is an effective recruitment tool?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of recruitment tools that our members are very fortunate to have, but I think it does work. I mean, with the stipend and the membership to the CRC that the fire department pays for members at half rate, I think they're two pretty good incentive programs.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to move that we affirm the FDMT criteria for determining qualified active member status and adopt resolution 2023-18, setting the volunteer firefighter stipend for 2023.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. 12 is establishing our real estate tax millage for 2024. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager.
Thank you. The Board of Supervisors approved and authorized the advertisement of the preliminary budget at your November 13th public meeting. After further discussion at your November 27th public meeting, the board approved a real estate tax increase of 0.45 mils to replenish the capital reserves fund and provide a revenue stream for future capital projects and purchases. Tonight, you're in a position to establish the real estate tax millage for 2024, which will now be 2.94 mils. I asked Brian to prepare several slides for you so that you could see the impact that this tax increase will have. I've already spoken with our public information coordinator, Derek Muller, about putting out a message to the residents about the tax increase, its sole purpose, using all social media platforms, e-news, as well as our first community news of the new year. Brian, you want to share, please?
The first slide is an average residential assessment. This was what we talked about it last time. Again, the average residential assessment in the township is 166,000, but we did take select neighborhoods and get their average assessment within those neighborhoods to show the effect of the tax increase. So the 2023 millage was 2.49, and at that time, the average residential assessment was $414. The proposed increase to 2.94 would raise that by $74.89. The average residential would be $489.31. And then again, down below is the various developments and their average assessments within those developments and the effects of the tax increase to those residents.
It's nice to see it based on the neighborhood, so you can see smaller houses, bigger houses, and at least have a visual.
And this is included in our budget document that we submit to GFOA as well.
Oh, and I will say, I just give Jen Ames a lot of credit. She used GIS data to help get all that residential properties that hone that down. This is a little bit smaller, but this is also in the budget document. Previously, Montgomery Township was at 24th out of all townships within the county, or just township millage. By increasing it to 2.94, we get up to the 19th. So we're still, we're right at the average, you will say, because 19 out of 38, we're at right at the, still in the middle of the county for township is our total tax millage. And again, every municipality has different circumstances of how they get, EIT revenue, their assessed values and other things like that to affect some what they have to do with their millage.
Well, I think what's really telling on this one is the last column. So it says, what 1 mil generates in these communities. So the assumption would normally be, a community that has a lower valuation overall would need to have more millage in place. But if you look at Lower Marion and you see what a mill brings in, if you look at Upper Marion, and both have higher tax rates than you.
Mm-hmm.
And then our final slide is the split out of the taxes reflected in a dollar. So school district is at 80% of what average taxpayer pays in Montgomery Township, then the county at 12.4%, and Montgomery Township at 7.9% of their total tax bill for 2024.
That's another good visual. Thank you for that. Okay, does anyone have any further questions? Okay. I'm going to move to adopt resolution number 2023-19, establishing the real estate tax millage for 2024 at 2.94 mils. Any public comment? All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Number 13 is consider adoption of the 2024 budget. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager. Thank you.
As you know, at your October 27th, we had a public work session where we went through each department's budget, capital and operations. This meeting was publicly, it was advertised as a public meeting. Additionally, the department heads presented their goals for 2024, but really this budget process starts in the summer, especially now because of supply chain issues, because of delays, and because of the uncertainty in the economy with pricing. So really, no sooner it seems that we adopt this one, we're already planning for the following year, but it really starts in earnest in the summer months. So tonight you are in a position to be able to adopt the budget, and unlike other parts of the government, we are required to have an adopted budget by December 31st as the law. I can't speak enough about the department heads and the work that they put into this. In addition to their normal duties, this takes up an inordinate amount of time, especially when we are trying to be as aggressive as we are with our capital investment plan, making sure that we can plan the work out, but also make sure that it's manageable for the following year. These department heads, they don't take this lightly. They don't just come in and drop numbers in. They really painstakingly look at everything and sharpen their pencils as best as they can to make sure that we're providing consistent, exceptional levels of service to our residents, while keeping our costs on the back end reduced and putting the resources where they need to be, which is out on the street, whether it's public works employees, our police department, and our fire department. So I just want to say thank you to them, because where we're at now is solely because of the work that they do.
And I'm going to give you a little thank you yourself.
Thank
Thank you for changing the way we have our budget meetings this year. It was just so much easier to have a one-day, very cohesive meeting with everyone involved. And I think we all felt the same way. And just thank you for changing things up sometimes when we need it, because it's great.
Thank you.
Anybody have any specific questions on this? Hearing none, I will move to adopt the 2024 budget for all funds with expenditures totaling $29,052,250.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, number 14, adoption of general fund balance policy. Brian Shapiro, Director of Finance.
Thank you. Staff is recommending adoption of a new policy. The Government Finance Office Association, GFOA, recommends that all municipalities entities adopt a policy regarding the amount of fund balance in the general fund. Appropriate fund balance protects a municipality from risks such as revenue shortfalls. Fund balance also ensures that a municipality can respond quickly to extreme events. A fund balance policy describes how much a municipality will try to retain in its reserves. Staff is recommending that a fund balance policy be approved with a minimum of 20% and a maximum of 25% of budgeted expenses for the general fund. Attached is the general fund balance policy that staff is recommending that the board approve tonight.
Does anyone have any questions? Has everyone been able to review it? Okay. I'm going to move to adopt the general fund balance policy as presented.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Number 15, consideration of approval for 2022 general fund surplus fund balance transfer. Brian Shapiro.
Yes,
Director of
thank you.
Finance.
Yep, thank you. In light of the previous action of adopting a fund balance policy for the general fund balance in 2022 increased from 4.8 to 7.1 million. The township's fund balance policy is to retain a fund balance of between 20 to 25% of its general fund operating expense for the next year. It has been the practice of the board to transfer the annual increase in the general fund to the capital reserves fund for future capital projects. Staff is recommending that 3.3 million of general fund surplus balance be transferred to the capital reserve fund. This transfer of funds will allow the township to continue its practice of financial responsibility, stewardship of taxpayer funds. Again, the recommendation is to approve 3.3 million in general fund balance to the capital fund reserve fund.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Going to move to approve the transfer of 3.3 million in the general fund balance to the capital reserve fund.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
For 16, ratification of terms for police collective bargaining agreement. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager.
Thank you. The collective bargaining agreement with the police officers is scheduled to expire 12/31/23. In July, we had our first meeting and negotiations began in earnest in August. Present were members of the collective bargaining unit, as well as the Director of Finance and our Human Resources Administrator. We have looked at it. We've looked at other communities. We've also, for the first time, really looked at and evaluated the current climate in terms of hiring new police officers, retaining police officers. The culture that has been created here by Chief Bendig is second to none, in my opinion. However, that doesn't pay rent. To Ms. Bamford's point earlier about affordability, it also doesn't cover people who are repaying student loans, and everyone talks. So these officers know what other officers are making in communities that are not as front facing as we are. You know, when you come through this department and we see officers daily going through the neighborhoods, they also have a community policing component to them. So we are recommending that the board approve a 4-year term for this new agreement. The wages would be 5% the first year, 4.25% second, 4.25% third, and 4.5% for the fourth year. Additionally, we are increasing our starting salary to $75,000 with Act 120 training, because we have not moved off of that. And I'm very proud of that fact that officers who come in here, once they go through their field training and everything that they do internally, they are ready to hit the streets. We are not paying them to get their Act 120 training. We have people who are already committed to the profession and have taken that on themselves. Additionally, we are increasing education reimbursement. It has not moved in over 12 years to $6,000 a year, because it is 2024 next year and we want an educated workforce. We want people who are committed not just to their job, but to continuing to grow, as well as professional development opportunities. So tonight I'm asking the board to approve the terms of the collective bargaining agreement with the Montgomery Township Police Officers Collective Bargaining Unit. It would be effective 1/1/24 through December 31st, 2027, giving us 4 years of stability and hopefully incentive for more people to join us as we need them.
I'm happy to approve it. I'm happy to pay them well and have them feel that they are worth everything, because it's a tough job, but they allow us to feel safe here and be able to sleep at night. So I'm completely fine with it. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, I'm going to move to approve the terms of the collective bargaining agreement with the Montgomery Township Police Officers Collective Bargaining Unit, effective January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2027.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 17, approval of Montgomery Township Municipal Sewer Authority 2024 budget. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager.
Attached is a copy of the 2024 MTMSA budget for your final consideration. This was presented at your November 13th, 2023 board meeting, and the board of the MTMSA has approved this budget at their regular board meeting held in October of this year.
All right. They're doing a fabulous job for us. Does anyone have any questions on this matter? Going to move to approve the Montgomery Township Municipal Sewer Authority budget for the fiscal year 2024.
Second.
Any public comment? None. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approval of Montgomery Township Municipal Sewer Authority 2023 tapping fee agreements. Carolyn McCreary, Township Manager.
Thank you. In your packet, you have a memo to the Board of Supervisors dated December 4th from Shannon Drosnock. She is the Executive Director of the Montgomery Township Municipal Sewer Authority. These are the tapping fee and development agreements that they executed in 2023, which must be ratified by the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. Does anyone have any tapping fee questions? I'm going to move to confirm that we have reviewed and approved the Montgomery Township Municipal Sewer Authority agreements as presented at the public meeting of December 11th, 2023.
Second.
Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, award of bids, municipal bid online surplus asset sale. Brian Shapiro, Director of Finance.
Thank you. On November 13th, 2023, the Board of Supervisors authorized the sale of township surplus assets to the online auction company Municipal. The following are the bid offer details from the highest bidders. The township will receive a total of $9,640 for the sale of surplus assets within 30 days of approval by the Board of Supervisors. It is our recommendation that the Board of Supervisors authorize the sale of the above listed items to the highest bidder as the close of bidding on December 6, 2023.
What's the $8,900 one? Is that a car?
The 2016 Chevy Tahoe, see at the line above it?
Oh, okay. Well, it's good to get $9,600 for things that we don't have a use for anymore, so.
How do these funds get allocated then into our budget? Do they go to each
There's a
department?
no, there's a line item in because these were capital items that will go into the capital fund. There's a line in the revenue section of the capital fund, sale of fixed assets. So we'll go right there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'm going to move to authorize the sale of the above listed equipment to the highest bidders as noted.
Second.
Any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, is there any old business that we need to talk about? Any new business that we need to talk about? All right, I'm going to move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Triple second. It's a new one.
It's better than
Everyone's jumping on
complete
that.
silence.
I know, right?
That was good. Additional use one, though.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, I think it's like